Good afternoon, Pastor Tommy here with an update and sermon teaser for this weekend. You know, it is September 23rd as I'm recording this. Fall has come and it's raining and it's cold and it's wet. And I just can't tell you how much I'm looking forward to Pastor Samuel's next Walk in the Woods devotion. But with that said, I have what's going to be exciting news for some of you and what's going to be horrifying news for others of you. And I'm just going to read a blurb from an email that Pastor Samuel is sending out. And it says, "With great excitement and anticipation, we announce that our first in-person worship service will be on October 11th at 4 p.m. for the purpose of worship, baptism, and installation of Pastor Samuel as associate pastor rather than assistant. If you're interested in volunteering or attending, please RSVP with Pastor Samuel as soon as possible." So, do you need to RSVP to attend that worship service? No, you don't. If you know you're going to be there, then by all means, let us know. So here's the deal about that worship service. So if you remember back, I think in February or March, we voted as a congregation to make Samuel an associate pastor rather than an assistant pastor. And you guys voted as a congregation in the affirmative unanimously. And then COVID hit and we never got a chance to install him. So for the past 6 months, every time Samuel has gotten sassy at all, or he's sort of, gotten a little bit like uppity, I would say, "You're not even installed yet." That's going to happen on October 11th. But also we thought it would be a good opportunity to sort of do a test run for corporate worship. So we're going to have this worship service on October 11th, and we've got a lot of volunteers already working on it. We've got coordinators working on it. We've got all these things happening to make that worship service happen. So does that mean once we have that worship service, it's just going to continue like that after? And the answer is no, or at least the answer is we're not sure. In other words, what we're going to do is we're going to do that worship service as a sort of test run. And after that test run, we'll do an after-action review with the coordinators and with Samuel and with the elders, and then we will decide where to go from there. In other words, should we launch once a month worship like that? Should we launch every Sunday morning worship like that? Should we do Saturday night or Sunday night worship like that? Because the other thing we have to take into account is actually home groups are going very well, right? There's an aspect to home groups which is incredibly important. So if you want to be a part of a home group, you can just click on the link below and you can sign up and we'll find a home group for you somewhere. But nonetheless, it's a little bit complicated as far as what to do after that first worship service, because if we are like every other church, half of our church at least won't show up because they're either afraid or they're just not in the mode of going to church right now, something. And so we're going to do it, and we're going to do our best, and we're going to try and keep it as safe as possible, and then we will see where we go from there. So October 11th at 4 p.m. in the afternoon, save the date. Now, as far as this week's sermon, remember last week Samuel did a great job preaching about the Exodus, and he said a number of times that it was the central event in the Old Testament. And he's correct about that. But the most famous story in the Old Testament is the one we're going to look at this coming week. You see, the one we're looking at this week is Israel crossing the Red Sea and Pharaoh coming behind them and getting drowned. That story is referenced at least 25 times in the Old Testament, the New Testament. In other words, when people want to talk about God's mighty acts and his mighty power, they say, oh, let's talk about what happened at the Red Sea. So that is what we are going to talk about this weekend. I'm really excited about teaching it, and I will see you then. Have a great week.